Just 1 second, I want to understand this good. She gave an example of artificial intelligence that would switch, let's say, attorneys, all sorts of things. We will have computers and robots. They will take more and more the place of the humans.
Especially that we disconnect from money, honor, control, and people will leave these things.
No, not from that side. From achieving the goal. The question is, will technology and computers be able to switch everything a human does today? Or will there be jobs that nothing would ever be able to switch? No technology.
Only education, relations between people.
Education and the correlations between humans. Do you mean that you can never have a computer as a teacher?
It could be a teacher today as well.
I want to be precise. On that we're talking about. What's the difference between a human and a computer? Not today's computer, the next generation computer, artificial intelligence. I don't know. Will we ever get to a point where a computer can switch a human in what we need in society?
Example. Only a person can give another person an example, not a computer, even though that through different exercises that will feed the computer with, a person can also get a very close impression to what a person can do. But nonetheless, there are things that we advance reciprocally. I mean, all this exists in order to tie people between them to one network. For us to also be the integral part between us and with nature, like nature outside us is, without us. And then what happens is that education can't be outside of people who study, who teach, who operate, who assist, because here, in that very same process of education, you actually realize what you have to realize, meaning you don't have to hug a computer. You have to learn how do you do it with another person. So education, it's not that you simply sit and listen like a dummy about what's going on. Education means that you're in interaction with live people, with your friends, with your teacher, with your assistants, with everything. It's a kind of a live education. It's like a workshop. It's like a round table. It's like they teach you how to connect with others. That's why it's called education.
Who will teach us?
People who are experts.
Oh, expert robot can teach. Why not?
No, he has to be with you in that interaction. Here, you're reaching a state where you're entering the inter-emotional world of a person which is above the still level. You can't get that from a robot, even though that he might bring you to different impressions and such that, but not on the level of the emotional connection between people. You won't get warmth from that robot.
Why?
And you won't feel warmth towards the robot. Because it's already on the level of systems that are even beyond biological.
I understand. I won't feel warmth.
You're confused. You're confused between learning and emotional, heartly connection. You can't have heartly connection with a machine.
Why?
Because a machine has no feelings.
So I input inside it, I install emotions.
No, you won't get feelings. You'll get programs that will evoke feelings in you.
Right.
But not feeling toward it. The connection between us has to be on a higher level than information.
What is emotion?
You're talking about feelings as a certain impression, inspiration within a person from entries and exits that come to him from some foreign factor. And it's correct. But this connection out of which we're, or from which we're emotionally impressed, this connection can be on several levels. I can be impressed by a dog, or a machine, or a sculpture, or nature. It's very exciting, and so on. But the connection where I'm impressed by a person is a connection which I can't get from any other factor. Because a person, he connects with me. Look, you simply have to understand what we're talking about and feel this. Because a person, he connects with me on a level which is higher than us, higher than me, and higher than him. What does it mean? That we start connecting between ourselves, he and I, we are starting to create a field of new relations which is beyond the corporeal nature of give and take. Sorry. The connection between people on a level where both of them are attracted to one another, heartily, in a heartly way, is higher than the connection that exists in love. Relations between people is something that you can't exchange, especially if the relation between people is in reciprocal giving, love, not corporeal love, meaning hormones, but love in terms of good relations.
What would be its expression in the employment world?
Won't be.
I'm sick. I don't come to you, the doctor. I come to this robot.
Even better than me.
Okay.
The robo won't be wrong, and the doctor will look at me. He doesn't like people like me, or he's tired today.
Okay, so we got an example. She's a robot who's better than you as a human, doctor.
Everything besides love between people.
And how would it come into place in the employment world? You switched her with a robot. Where you cannot make that switch.
Guidance for relations between people. Besides, there will be many machines there, many tests, many machines where you examine yourself, you study, you answer, you give answers. But these are things that develop you a bit more mechanically in terms of your ability to think, maybe an emotional response. But it's all in order to give you more and more possibilities, options to advance. It's a very narrow field within education. The gist of education, the integral education, is only the interaction between people through a tutor, through a guide. Only man can do this, a human, and not any human, because you need a heartly reaction which is higher, on a level higher than you today.
What would characterize this new worker in this new world? Well, let's say a tutor or a teacher, and then we'll take different examples.
He has to develop himself through integral education to a state where the mutual connection, nice reciprocal relations between people will be the essence of his life, that he will see this as the purpose of his life. the purpose of his life, that this is what he wakes up with and goes to bed. This is what he's with every moment.
That is some sort of dedication to the goal. But what kind of talents that will characterize this worker, and opposed to, like Oren said, different workers that are working in our world now?
The moment he reaches this feeling, this appreciation, the extent of love between people, he has to learn how does he operate people. How does he pass on to them this method of connection? What kinds of people are there to relate to each one this way or another way? Bring up a child according to his own ways. But this already has to do with artistry, meaning I really want to make a pair of shoes for my baby. I remember that grandma, my mother, she wanted to make socks for her first grandchild. I saw how she does it. She never did it. She's a doctor and she all the time worked in research and in medicine. She wants to. So I saw how she's doing it, that it worked and it didn't. And after 2-3 days, she showed me this small little piece and said, I already finished this and soon he'll have a sock. And to have a sock, I still have to make a lot of things, but it doesn't matter. She's on the way. For her, it's pleasure. Pleasure. You can't measure this. Tell me, please. Queen of England. For example, she's given her baby. She looks him from afar and, waves, cutie. That's it. No, she wants to do this herself, even feed him, wash him. She has 1,000 different aids. So what? There is something about the person that he wants to give if he loves. He has to learn how to do it. He likes doing it, even do hard work. But if he does it for the sake of someone who he loves, for him it's not work, it's the reception of pleasure, the reception of a reward. This is how we have to teach people.
This feeling that you're talking about is in us right now, or we have to develop it?
Why? Aren't you giving your kids what you can and get pleasure?
You said it's more than regular love. It's...
No matter, but it's towards your children, towards other children.
I have towards my own children.
Obviously, this is exactly the integral education that we have to go through. You have to be risen to the general level.
Is it something that I have and I just need to develop it?
You have to reach a state where there is no difference between all people, to that extent. My kids, his kids, someone's kids in Africa, doesn't matter. For me, equal. Equal. Because I gave birth to them on the animalistic level, but I care for them on the human level. Okay, that's obviously that it's already something that, but actually, this is the top of the integral education.